Ladies and gentlemen, in life, wisdom isn't just about knowing when to speak, it's also about knowing when to walk away. A truly wise woman doesn't argue, doesn't beg, and doesn't waste her energy trying to fix what's beyond repair. Instead, she silently steps away from those who drain her spirit and disrupt her peace. She understands that not everyone deserves access to her time, her kindness, or her energy. And so, without anger or resentment, she cuts off 5 types of people. Negativity is one of the most powerful forces in the world. It seeps into conversations, poisons relationships, and dims the light of even the brightest souls. A wise woman understands this truth better than most, and that's why she chooses to distance herself from those who carry negativity wherever they go. Negativity comes in many forms: complaining, doubting, criticizing, and always expecting the worst. While everyone has difficult days and moments of frustration, the constantly negative person thrives in a state of perpetual dissatisfaction. They are not just experiencing hardships, they are defined by them. Their words, their thoughts, and their energy revolve around what's wrong, what's missing, and what cannot be changed. A wise woman recognizes that negativity is not just a harmless habit, it is a slow poison. It clouds the mind, weakens the spirit, and destroys happiness. Over time, exposure to constant negativity can make even the most optimistic person begin to question their own dreams, doubt their abilities, and see the world through a darker lens. That is why she silently but firmly chooses to step away. Human beings are deeply influenced by their environment, whether they realize it or not. The energy we absorb from those around us shapes our thoughts, emotions, and even our beliefs. A wise woman knows that when she surrounds herself with negativity, it inevitably begins to affect her. Consider how negativity spreads like wildfire. It consumes everything in its path. If a person constantly talks about how unfair life is, how success is impossible, or how people cannot be trusted, these thoughts begin to embed themselves into the subconscious minds of those who listen. The wise woman refuses to let her mind be polluted by such beliefs. She knows that every conversation, every interaction, and every exchange of energy has an impact on her well-being. She understands that if she allows negativity to take root in her life, it will slowly chip away at her peace, her ambition, and her sense of joy. So, instead of trying to change those who refuse to see the good in the world, she simply walks away. One of the most dangerous aspects of negative people is that they feed off attention. They seek validation for their misery. They want others to join them in their cycle of complaining, blaming, and feeling helpless. The more someone engages with their negativity, the stronger it grows. A wise woman does not waste her time trying to fix or heal those who are committed to their suffering. She knows that no amount of encouragement, reasoning, or support can change someone who refuses to see the light. She understands that her energy is sacred, and she will not spend it on those who are unwilling to lift themselves out of their own darkness. Instead of arguing with a negative person, trying to prove them wrong, or offering endless solutions to their complaints, she chooses silence. She does not engage in debates about why things will never get better. She does not offer repeated reassurances to someone who is addicted to self-pity. She understands that some people do not want solutions. They only want an audience for their misery. And so she walks away. Life is about evolution, becoming wiser, stronger, and more at peace with oneself. But growth requires a certain kind of mindset. It requires resilience, optimism, and a belief that change is possible. A wise woman knows that negative people do not just resist change, they fear it. They cling to their misery because it is familiar. The constantly negative person will discourage growth at every opportunity. They will mock ambition, belittle dreams, and remind others of every possible way in which things can go wrong. They will say, "Why bother trying?" or "People like us never succeed." Their words are like chains, keeping those around them stuck in the same place, trapped by fear and doubt. A wise woman refuses to be held back. She refuses to allow someone else's limitations to become her own. She refuses to shrink her dreams to fit the narrow perspective of those who cannot see beyond their own misery. So she steps away, not with anger, not with hatred, but with the quiet understanding that she is meant for more. Perhaps the greatest reason a wise woman cuts off negative people is that she values her peace above all else. She understands that peace is not just the absence of conflict, it is the presence of clarity, contentment, and emotional stability. Negativity disrupts this peace. It fills the mind with unnecessary worries, drags the heart into unnecessary burdens, and creates unnecessary tension. A wise woman refuses to sacrifice her mental and emotional well-being for the sake of maintaining toxic relationships. She knows that if she wants to live a life of fulfillment and happiness, she must be mindful of the energy she allows into her space. When she realizes that someone is constantly bringing darkness into her life, she does not fight them, she does not try to change them, and she does not beg them to see the world differently. She simply removes herself. She understands that peace is a choice, and she chooses to protect hers. A wise woman does not make a dramatic exit. She does not announce her departure with anger or resentment. She does not waste her breath explaining why she can no longer entertain constant negativity. Instead, she quietly distances herself. She lets go with grace. She understands that those who are committed to negativity will not understand her choice, and that is okay. She does not need their approval. She does not need them to see her perspective. She only needs to honor her own well-being. And so, she moves forward lighter, freer, and more at peace. She surrounds herself with those who uplift, inspire, and support her. She embraces conversations that nourish her mind and relationships that bring her joy. She does not look back, because she knows that walking away from negativity is not a loss, it is a victory. Because in the end, a wise woman knows that protecting her peace is worth more than holding on to anything that steals it. Manipulation is one of the most subtle yet dangerous forms of toxicity a person can encounter. It does not always come with harsh words or open hostility. Instead, it often arrives disguised as concern, affection, or even love. A wise woman understands that manipulation is not always obvious, but its effects are deeply destructive. That is why she chooses to remove herself from the presence of those who seek to control, deceive, or exploit her. Manipulators are masters of distortion. They twist words, create confusion, and make others question their own reality. They excel at turning the tables, making their victims feel guilty for things they never did and responsible for fixing problems they never caused. They know exactly how to use emotions as weapons, pulling at heartstrings when they need sympathy, playing the victim when they need forgiveness, and feigning innocence when they are caught. A wise woman, however, sees through these tactics. She recognizes the patterns and refuses to be a pawn in someone else's game. One of the most common tactics of a manipulator is guilt tripping. They make their target feel as though they are selfish, ungrateful, or even cruel for not bending to their will. They say things like, "After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me." Or, "If you really cared, you wouldn't act this way." Their goal is to make the other person feel obligated to meet their demands, even at the expense of their own happiness. A wise woman, however, does not allow guilt to dictate her choices. She understands that love and respect should never be transactional, and she refuses to let anyone use her kindness as a tool for manipulation. Manipulators also thrive on playing the victim. They rarely take responsibility for their actions. Instead, they paint themselves as the ones who have been wronged, even when they are the ones causing harm. They rewrite history to suit their narrative, making others feel like the villains, while they take on the role of the wounded soul. They use pity to control, making others feel as though they must go out of their way to make things right. But a wise woman does not fall for this deception. She understands that genuine victims seek healing, not control. She sees through the crocodile tears, the exaggerated stories, and the carefully crafted pleas for sympathy. She knows that true strength lies in accountability, and she will not be fooled by those who refuse to take it. Another dangerous tactic manipulators use is gaslighting. They make their targets question their own memories, perceptions, and even sanity. They say things like, "That never happened," or "You're too sensitive," or "You're imagining things." They downplay their actions, making their victims doubt themselves until they no longer trust their own judgment. Over time, this leads to a loss of confidence and a dependence on the manipulator for validation. But a wise woman knows better. She trusts her intuition, her experiences, and her truth. She does not allow anyone to rewrite her reality or make her feel as though she is the problem for recognizing mistreatment. She stands firm in what she knows and refuses to let anyone diminish her sense of self. Manipulators often use love as a tool of control. They offer affection when it suits them and withdraw it when they want to punish or manipulate. They make their targets feel as though they must constantly prove their worth, walking on eggshells to avoid upsetting them. They create an atmosphere of instability where love and kindness are given conditionally rather than freely. This keeps their victims in a state of anxiety, always trying to meet impossible expectations to earn approval. But a wise woman understands that love should never be a weapon. She knows that true love is not about control, fear, or constant uncertainty. It is about trust, respect, and emotional safety. She refuses to stay in a relationship, romantic, familial, or otherwise, that makes her feel unworthy or unsteady. Another hallmark of manipulators is their ability to shift blame. No matter what happens, it is never their fault. If they hurt someone, it was because they were pushed into it. If they break promises, it's because the other person was being too demanding. If they lie, it's because they had no choice. A wise woman does not engage in these endless cycles of excuses. She knows that accountability is the foundation of integrity, and without it, there can be no trust. She recognizes that those who refuse to take responsibility for their actions will continue to hurt others without remorse. She does not waste her time trying to make them see the truth. Instead, she silently removes herself from their influence. A manipulator's greatest fear is losing control. That is why, when a wise woman begins to pull away, they often resort to desperate measures. They may suddenly shower her with affection, making grand gestures to win her back. They may promise to change, say all the right words, and act as though they have seen the error of their ways. But a wise woman knows that actions speak louder than words. She has seen the cycle before: the apologies, the temporary kindness, and then the inevitable return to manipulation. She does not fall for the act. She knows that true change is consistent and self-driven, not performed out of fear of losing control over someone. Walking away from a manipulator is not always easy. They often create emotional ties that make leaving feel painful, even when it is necessary. They instill doubt, making their victims question whether they are overreacting or being too harsh. They may use others to apply pressure, turning mutual friends or family members into messengers who plead on their behalf. But a wise woman stands firm. She knows that cutting ties with manipulation is an act of self-preservation, not cruelty. She does not let guilt, fear, or pressure pull her back into a toxic cycle. She understands that protecting her peace, her well-being, and her self-respect is not selfish, it is essential. And so she leaves not with anger, not with hatred, but with quiet certainty. She does not engage in arguments, she does not explain herself endlessly, and she does not try to make the manipulator see her point of view. She simply walks away. Because a wise woman knows that her energy is too valuable to be wasted on those who seek to control rather than uplift. She knows that she deserves relationships built on honesty, love, and mutual respect. And she refuses to accept anything less. In the end, a wise woman does not seek revenge, nor does she hope for an apology. She simply chooses herself. And that is her greatest act of strength. Jealousy and envy are two of the most destructive forces in human relationships. They operate in silence, often disguised behind smiles and polite words, but their presence is unmistakable. A wise woman knows that envy is not always loud, but it is always corrosive. She can sense it in the way certain people hesitate before congratulating her, in the forced enthusiasm of their praise, in the subtle ways they try to undermine her achievements. And because she values her peace, she chooses to distance herself from those who carry envy in their hearts. The jealous and envious are not always obvious. They do not always express their resentment openly. Instead, they lurk in the shadows of relationships, quietly measuring themselves against others, always feeling as though they are in competition. They are not inspired by success, they are threatened by it. Instead of celebrating the victories of others, they see them as personal losses. A wise woman recognizes this dangerous mindset and understands that it can never lead to anything positive. One of the clearest signs of jealousy is subtle criticism masked as concern. The envious rarely attack directly. Instead, they use backhanded compliments and disguised negativity to plant seeds of doubt. They might say, "You're doing great, but don't you think you're taking on too much?" Or, "I admire your confidence, I wish I could be that fearless." These statements seem harmless, but their purpose is to make the other person second-guess themselves. A wise woman is not easily shaken by such words. She knows when advice is genuine and when it is meant to undermine. She does not allow envious people to project their insecurities onto her. Another tactic of jealous individuals is minimizing achievements. They downplay success, attributing it to luck, privilege, or external factors rather than hard work. They refuse to acknowledge the effort that went into someone's progress, because doing so would require them to face their own lack of discipline or ambition. A wise woman does not seek validation from such people. She does not waste her time explaining how hard she worked or justifying what she has earned. She understands that those who cannot be happy for her are revealing more about themselves than they are about her. The jealous and envious often become competitive in ways that are neither necessary nor healthy. Instead of focusing on their own growth, they measure their worth against others. They feel the need to one-up every achievement, to prove that they are just as good, if not better. When a wise woman succeeds, they do not simply congratulate her, they immediately start listing their own accomplishments, shifting the focus back onto themselves. If she buys something new, they find a way to mention something more expensive they own. If she shares good news, they quickly bring up something impressive they have done. A wise woman does not engage in this unspoken battle. She knows that true confidence has nothing to prove. She does not feel the need to compete with those who are too insecure to appreciate their own unique journey. Perhaps one of the most toxic traits of the envious is their tendency to secretly wish for failure. While they may not say it outright, they do not truly want to see others succeed. They may smile and pretend to celebrate, but deep down, they are hoping for setbacks. If a wise woman faces difficulties, the envious are quick to show up, but not out of concern, rather, out of satisfaction. They disguise their pleasure as sympathy, saying things like, "I was afraid this might happen," or, "At least now you know what it's like for the rest of us." They may not openly wish for someone's downfall, but they certainly feel more comfortable when others are struggling. A wise woman recognizes when someone is not truly in her corner. She notices the patterns, the reluctance to celebrate her wins, the hidden joy in her struggles, the constant need to compete or diminish her accomplishments. She understands that keeping such people in her life only brings unnecessary tension and negativity. She does not waste time trying to prove her worth to them. She does not plead for support that is not freely given. Instead, she steps away, choosing to surround herself with those who uplift rather than undermine. Walking away from the jealous and envious is not an act of arrogance. It is an act of self-preservation. Envy is a silent toxin that seeps into relationships, eroding trust and genuine connection. A wise woman does not allow herself to be dragged down by the insecurities of others. She chooses peace over tension, growth over competition, and authenticity over pretense. She does not announce her departure, nor does she seek confrontation. She simply moves on, leaving behind those who cannot genuinely celebrate her success. She understands that true friends are not threatened by her achievements. They are inspired by them. They do not compete. They support. They do not secretly hope for her failure. They pray for her success. They do not minimize her accomplishments. They recognize and respect them. A wise woman knows the difference between those who are happy for her and those who are merely pretending to be. And she chooses wisely. The envious often fail to realize that another person's success does not take anything away from them. There is enough room in the world for everyone to thrive. But instead of using success as motivation, they use it as a reason to resent. They focus on what others have rather than on how they can improve themselves. They let jealousy blind them to their own potential. A wise woman does not allow herself to be surrounded by such energy. She refuses to let someone else's insecurity become a burden she has to carry. When she distances herself from envious people, she does not do so out of anger. She does not hold grudges or wish them harm. Instead, she understands that not everyone is meant to be part of her journey. She accepts that some people are unable to support her because they are too focused on their own lack. She lets them go with grace, choosing to walk forward with those who bring light, not shadows. And so, the wise woman moves on. She does not explain, she does not argue, and she does not try to change those who refuse to grow. She simply continues on her path, knowing that her success, happiness, and peace are too valuable to be dimmed by the jealousy of others. Because in the end, she understands a simple truth. Those who are truly meant to be in her life will never see her success as a threat, but as a reason to celebrate. Gossipers are among the most insidious influences in any person's life. They do not come with obvious malice or open hostility. Instead, they cloak themselves in friendly conversations, shared secrets, and seemingly harmless exchanges. A wise woman, however, understands the true nature of gossip and its far-reaching consequences. She knows that people who thrive on discussing the affairs of others cannot be trusted, and that their words are not only damaging to their targets, but also to those who engage in their conversations. That is why she chooses to distance herself from those who find pleasure in the misfortune, mistakes, or personal matters of others. The gossiper operates in a cycle. Their words are fueled by curiosity, jealousy, and a need to feel important. They gather information, sometimes twisting details or adding embellishments to make the story more dramatic, and then they spread it under the pretense of concern or entertainment. They thrive on speculation and half-truths, caring little about the accuracy of their words or the impact they have on others. The wise woman sees through this facade. She recognizes that if someone is willing to speak negatively about others, it is only a matter of time before they do the same to her. Gossipers disguise their intentions well. They often begin by pretending to confide in someone, sharing exclusive details as a way of gaining trust. "I probably shouldn't be telling you this," they say, knowing full well that the temptation of secrecy is powerful. They make the listener feel special, as though they have been chosen to be part of an inner circle of knowledge. But a wise woman is not easily lured into such traps. She knows that if someone is eager to betray another person's trust, they are just as likely to betray hers. She understands that the information being shared is not a gift, but a warning. One of the most dangerous aspects of gossip is how quickly it spreads and mutates. A single story, once passed from person to person, can take on an entirely different shape, often with exaggerated details and false accusations. The original truth becomes lost in a web of distortions, and reputations can be damaged in ways that are difficult to repair. A wise woman values truth and integrity, which is why she refuses to participate in conversations that serve no purpose other than to tear others down. She does not contribute, she does not listen, and she does not allow herself to become entangled in the drama of others. The gossiper thrives on negativity. They rarely share stories of triumph or success unless it is to mock, diminish, or twist the achievement into something scandalous. When they speak of others, it is rarely with admiration, it is with judgment, speculation, or outright malice. Their words are designed to provoke reactions, to stir conflict, and to feed their own sense of superiority. A wise woman recognizes this pattern and refuses to engage. She does not allow someone else's need for entertainment to come at the expense of another person's dignity. She understands that if a person cannot find fulfillment in their own life, they will seek it in the chaos of others. Another trait of gossipers is their ability to shift blame and avoid accountability. When confronted about their words, they often deflect by saying, "I was just repeating what I heard," or "I didn't mean any harm." They minimize the damage, pretending that their words were insignificant, even when they have caused real consequences for someone else. A wise woman does not accept such excuses. She knows that words have power, and that those who refuse to take responsibility for their speech cannot be trusted. She also understands that even those who listen passively to gossip are complicit in its spread. The wise woman values genuine connections, and she knows that gossip destroys trust. When a relationship is built on discussing others rather than honest and meaningful conversations, it is shallow at best and toxic at worst. True friendships are not based on tearing others down, but on uplifting, encouraging, and supporting one another. She does not seek companionship in those who thrive on scandal and secrecy. Instead, she surrounds herself with people who respect privacy, who speak with kindness, and who understand that loyalty is not just about presence, but about protecting the dignity of others, even in their absence. Another reason a wise woman avoids gossipers is because she values her own peace. Engaging in gossip creates unnecessary drama, fuels misunderstandings, and breeds resentment. It entangles people in conflicts that do not concern them and places them at risk of being misunderstood themselves. When someone participates in gossip, they unknowingly invite negativity into their lives. A wise woman refuses to be part of this cycle. She chooses peace over pettiness, substance over superficiality, and character over curiosity. When a wise woman distances herself from gossipers, she does not do so with arrogance or cruelty. She simply recognizes that some behaviors are incompatible with the life she wants to live. She does not waste her time trying to change those who refuse to change themselves. She understands that some people find their greatest joy in the downfall of others, and that is a mindset she has no interest in entertaining. So she quietly removes herself. She no longer lingers in conversations that serve no purpose other than to spread negativity. She does not contribute to rumors, nor does she seek them out. She makes it clear through her actions, not just her words, that she does not engage in or tolerate gossip. There is an undeniable power in silence. When a wise woman refuses to participate in gossip, she sends a message without ever having to explain herself. Those who thrive on spreading rumors quickly realize that she is not someone who will entertain their words. Over time, they stop bringing such conversations to her, knowing that she will not provide the reaction they seek. And in doing so, she protects not only her own integrity, but also her sense of inner peace. The gossiper may never understand why she chooses to walk away. They may see her as distant, judgmental, or even boring. But the wise woman does not concern herself with their opinions. She knows that her time and energy are too valuable to be wasted on conversations that serve no meaningful purpose. She chooses to invest in relationships built on trust, respect, and honesty. She chooses to speak words that uplift rather than destroy. She chooses to protect her peace, knowing that it is one of the most precious things she possesses. And so, she moves forward, unburdened by the weight of idle chatter and unnecessary drama. She does not look back, because she knows that those who gossip today will gossip tomorrow, and she has no desire to be their next topic. She walks away with confidence, knowing that the quality of her life is determined not just by what she does, but also by what she refuses to tolerate. She understands that in a world full of noise, choosing silence in the face of gossip is one of the greatest signs of wisdom. A wise woman understands that trust is one of the most valuable gifts she can offer someone. It is not given lightly, nor is it something that can be endlessly restored once broken. She knows that when she places her faith in someone, she is handing them a piece of her vulnerability, expecting that they will treat it with care. But not everyone values trust in the same way. Some see it as something to be taken for granted, something they can break and mend at their convenience. These are the repeated betrayers, those who prove time and time again that they cannot be trusted, yet expect to be forgiven as though their actions carry no weight. A wise woman knows better than to entertain such people for long. She may forgive, but she does not forget. And when the pattern of betrayal becomes clear, she walks away silently, but decisively. Betrayal does not always come in obvious forms. It is not always dramatic or public. Sometimes it is subtle, wearing the disguise of care and companionship. It might appear as broken promises, as repeated letdowns, as words spoken in confidence being shared without consent. It can come in the form of a friend who continuously prioritizes their own needs at the expense of the relationship, a partner who constantly tests the boundaries of loyalty, or a colleague who claims to support but secretly undermines. The wise woman pays attention to these patterns. She does not allow herself to be blinded by sentimentality or by the false hope that this time will be different. She understands that actions speak louder than words, and when the actions of a person repeatedly betray her trust, she listens. One of the most insidious forms of betrayal comes from those who pretend to be loyal, but only when it is convenient. They show up when it benefits them, when they need something, when they want to bask in the warmth of someone's kindness. But when they are needed, when the relationship requires them to show the same loyalty in return, they vanish. A wise woman recognizes the imbalance. She does not beg for loyalty. She does not plead for someone to treat her with the same respect she offers. She simply takes note and removes herself from the equation. Another kind of repeated betrayer is the one who apologizes without change. They are quick to say they are sorry, quick to admit their faults, but their actions remain the same. They ask for forgiveness, and perhaps for a while they behave differently, only to eventually fall back into the same patterns. They rely on the kindness and patience of others, knowing that their words will likely be enough to smooth over the damage. But the wise woman is not easily deceived. She understands that an apology without change is manipulation. She does not get caught in the cycle of accepting empty promises. She knows that people who truly regret their actions do not just say they will do better, they prove it. Repeated betrayal also often comes from those who thrive on second chances. They know that they have been forgiven before, so they assume they will be forgiven again. They push boundaries, testing just how much they can get away with before consequences arrive. They mistake kindness for weakness, assuming that because they have been given grace in the past, they are entitled to it indefinitely. But a wise woman knows that forgiveness does not mean foolishness. She may choose to release resentment for her own peace, but that does not mean she will allow herself to be hurt over and over again. There is also a form of betrayal that comes from those who speak loyalty, but do not act on it. They may claim to be friends, claim to stand by someone's side, but when the time comes to prove it, they are nowhere to be found. They remain silent when their voice is needed. They do not defend when injustice is done. They do not offer support when hardship arises. They betray not through direct action, but through absence. A wise woman notices when someone is only present in the good times, but absent in the difficult ones. She sees through the illusion of friendship that exists only when it is easy, and she does not waste time on those who cannot be counted on when it matters most. Perhaps one of the deepest betrayals comes from those who pretend to change but never do. They recognize that they have hurt someone, they acknowledge it, but instead of truly working to be better, they merely perform the motions of remorse. They adjust just enough to regain trust, only to fall back into their old habits once they believe they are safe from consequences. They may not even be aware of their own pattern, believing their own excuses, convincing themselves that they mean well. But a wise woman does not allow herself to be deceived. She knows that real change is consistent, not temporary. She knows that someone who truly values her trust would never risk breaking it again. Walking away from repeated betrayers is not an easy choice. There is always a part of the heart that wants to believe in people, to hope that this time things will be different. There is always the temptation to give one more chance, to extend grace just once more. But the wise woman understands that her time, energy, and emotional well-being are precious. She cannot afford to keep pouring into relationships that only drain her. She cannot keep reopening wounds that are trying to heal. And so, she steps away, not out of anger, not out of bitterness, but out of self-respect. She does not announce her departure, nor does she make a spectacle of her decision. She simply withdraws. She stops engaging, stops explaining, stops justifying. She does not seek revenge, or wish harm upon those who have wronged her. She simply removes them from her inner circle, choosing to invest in relationships that bring her peace rather than pain. She understands that sometimes silence is the most powerful response. The repeated betrayers may not understand why she left. They may call her cold, distant, unforgiving. They may accuse her of being too harsh, of not giving enough chances. But she does not concern herself with their opinions. She knows that she has given enough. She knows that trust, once broken repeatedly, can never be fully restored. And she knows that in choosing herself, she is making the right decision. In the end, the wise woman values loyalty over familiarity, integrity over convenience, and peace over the chaos of broken trust. She knows that not everyone deserves repeated access to her kindness, and that some doors, once closed, should remain that way. So she walks away, not looking back, knowing that her decision is not just about avoiding pain, it is about choosing a life where she is surrounded by people who truly honor and respect her trust. A wise woman understands that the people she surrounds herself with shape her peace, her energy, and her overall well-being. She does not waste time trying to change those who refuse to change themselves, nor does she allow repeated offenses to erode her sense of self-worth. She knows that walking away is not an act of cruelty, but of self-respect. By silently cutting off the constantly negative, the manipulators, the jealous and envious, the gossipers, and the repeated betrayers, she chooses peace over drama, growth over stagnation, and self-love over endless disappointment. She does not seek revenge, nor does she carry bitterness in her heart. She simply removes herself from situations and relationships that no longer serve her, understanding that true wisdom lies in knowing when to stay and when to walk away. And in doing so, she creates space for genuine connections, for love that uplifts rather than drains, and for a life filled with purpose, clarity, and strength. The world may not always understand her silence, but she knows that her greatest power lies in the choices she makes, especially the choice to protect her peace.